candles in memory of the departed. Others wept uncontrollably as they remembered their loved ones. Survivors in hospital wards and at home narrated their ordeals. And it emerges, every so-called protester has a story to tell. But leaders told contradicting stories, leaving everyone wondering, was Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania, a visitor in Kenya 2 weeks ago or not? We combed the notice boards and information boxes of State House Mombasa, State House Dar es Salaam, and yes, one famous holiday resort. And it was not a difficult search this week to locate a former president in Kenya. Uhuru Kenyatta was up and about. He was before cameras at the gate of his son's home. And then there was that elaborate sit-down with media editors at a compound near State House, Nairobi. We sample whispers of what transpired and what the retired president is up to. And tonight, the entire media library is with us, as embodied by two eminent retired journalists. John Gashie and Caleb Atemi, former NMG editors, are the guest gangsters tonight. And I don't even know what we should expect. But I know Yvonne Okwara is tonight taking a break and watching proceedings from the other end. This is the News Gang.
You are shouting for me not to tell you the truth, but I'll speak the truth to you. As leaders from Luo Nyanza, you must lead from the front. You must stop mobilizing your people to death. You must say enough is enough and no more bloodshed. How many liters of blood do you want? For you to be able to negotiate yourselves in power, you shall no longer use bloodshed to negotiate yourselves into power. No more bloodshed in this country to negotiate yourselves. But is it in order for the leader of majority to now single a single community and talk of blood as if he's imputing that the Luo community have spilled blood, when it is actually the Luo community who are bearing the brunt of all violence in this country in every year? Could he please withdraw that statement?
Those were the scenes today when Parliament was discussing police brutality. We'll get to that in a minute. But first, I'd like to welcome our guest gangsters tonight. John Gashie, who's a journalist and a foreign policy analyst, and Caleb Atemi, who's also a journalist, a biographer, and a trainer. Welcome, gentlemen. It's an honor to have you here.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Linus and Gituku, the country was under attack today, cyber attack. In fact, we've learned a new word called Directed Denial of Service, DDoS. Maybe, Sam, you can give us a picture of what exactly has been transpiring in Kenya for about 24 hours or so, especially about cyber attack.
Right. This is something, I mean, the enormity of it is something that many are still trying to understand. We've been trying to speak to experts who are saying that they do not want to give any comments as yet, probably because of the sensitivity of the matter. But there's been a lot of communication between the ministries of government. For instance, the ICT CS, Eliud Owalo, released a statement saying what was known at that time, him saying that there has been several attempts at cyber attacks, but there has not been any hacking into any systems of government. Then you've seen the Interior Cabinet Secretary, that is Professor Kithure Kindiki, issuing a statement saying that actually the services on the eCitizen portal have already been restored, and a lot of is being done to ensure that a similar attack does not happen. So we've also been speaking to different experts and trying to understand what exactly this is. Like you're saying that you're learning new terms. So basically getting to understand that there was a deliberate move to have a lot of traffic into the e-Citizen portal, for instance, to ensure that you have a lot of requests into it. You overwhelm the system. It is not able to process those requests, and therefore, even for the legitimate requests, especially those that would be coming from Kenyans, they're not going through because already there's a clogged system. I remember I was using some analogy here that if you want to print some work on your printer, so you send a lot of print jobs, that's what it's called in that space. So then the printer jams, so it has to order them in order of priority based on when those requests were sent. But if the printer is not able now to function, then nothing moves. Even when you have probably different people sending requests to the printer, they are not supposed to be sending. Then you have the right people now sending work to the printer. It is not able to do that because computers work in order of priority. It cannot skip. So that backlog is what was affecting the systems, and that's why Kenyans are not able to access those very essential services. But now the Ministry of Interior, for instance, is saying that that has been cleared. Of course, it has to be to take a bit of technical work, having to move certain works to different servers. So we will be waiting to see if details will be released as to what exactly has happened. But obviously, there has also been the speculation on the social media platforms of some people claiming that they're actually behind this attack. The motive, I don't know.
Unclear. We are told a cyber attack is an attack on online infrastructure that causes a service to be unavailable, and it's largely software. It's online. It's not like physically someone went and took a computer and did something. So it's online, and we're told, as you talked about, how you bombard the server with a lot of requests. And we're also being told by experts that this could have been done anywhere in the world. Could be servers in the US, whatever, all across the world, or even here at home. So that's something that we'll get to know in the coming days. But Linus, the services have been restored. e-Citizen is back. Railway services also were unable to pay for tokens, Kenya Power. But there were losses that were experienced. People were unable to renew licenses. People were unable to even apply for basic government services. So what does that mean for us?
Absolutely. The counting of losses only begins right now. And I think Kenyans should be relieved that tonight the news came through that some of the services have been restored, including the e-Citizen services, which are mainly for government. But I was looking at the background of these cyber attacks. It's nothing new. It's as old as the development of the cyberspace itself. Way back in 1999, there was an attack by a teenager, by the way. A teenager managed to access the networks of the Department of Defense in the US and the NASA, that's the Space Administration Agency, and installed what they called a backdoor access to the servers and downloaded all manner of software, which was estimated to cost about $1.7 million. And this is, I mean, the cyberspace is a very dynamic space. It's got people who are trying all manner of experiments. But I think what is happening with governments now increasingly and corporates is that we realize and they realize that cyberspace is the new war front. If you want to do damage to a nation's interests, corporate interests, then one of the things that you can do is actually to compromise the cyberspace that they control.
I'd like to come to you, John Gashia, as a foreign policy analyst. We have a group calling itself Anonymous Sudan that is claiming to be behind these attacks. And we've had our scuffle with Sudan, with the war that is going on there, and the fact that they do not want Kenyans' involvement in the peace process. Do these two have anything to do with each other, in your opinion?
I would certainly hope not. I would certainly hope not. But would we want to rule that one out? Again, I hope we could. Mm-hmm. What I'm saying, Jamila, is that there are many issues that are at stake at the moment with regard to artificial intelligence. Mm-hmm. And indeed, I think it was only yesterday, or I think the last week, that we've had this discussion ongoing. What is it that artificial intelligence portends for us, and indeed what are the dangers and how do we handle that? And there is this big debate, what is artificial intelligence really? How do you define it? And when you're talking about hacking, then perhaps isn't that perhaps a manifestation of then abuse, so to speak, for whatever reason and for whatever gain. So I think I would hope that then the Kenyan issue with Sudan and this issue about this Sudan unanimous, I think we have to be very careful because it cuts both ways. And I think without appearing to kind of buy into, fear-mongering also. But there could be a little much more to it about Sudan-Kenya relations, really. And I don't think perhaps it might not get itself to the media space for now. That is the internet for now. But well, let's wait and see.
Let's wait and see. Caleb, you've been a journalist for a really long time. Did you ever cover anything like this? Did you ever find ourselves in a situation as this? Not exactly with cyber, but at a point where we are grappling with a control over services and what not?
Well, in my days, there was no cyberspace.
Yes.
There was space.
There was more physical
space, yes.
There was more physical threat.
Yes.
So we would cover the skirmishes on the Uganda border, Atif with Tanzania. But since I've remained relevant in the profession, this is a very frightening affair for this country. We are very vulnerable as a nation. And being a political country, it's almost difficult to try to imagine where the attack is coming from. And I think all of us need to be worried because how safe are we? How safe are our IDs, our money, even the drugs you use in the hospital?
Yes.
Everything is at the hand of the enemy if you're not careful.
Yeah.